Welcome to the Norris Group Real Estate Podcast, a show committed to bringing you insights from thought leaders shaping the real estate industry. In each episode, we'll dive into conversations with industry experts and local insiders, all aimed at helping you thrive in an ever-changing real estate market, continuing the legacy that Bruce Norris created, sharing valuable knowledge, and empowering you on your real estate journey. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a newcomer, this is your go-to source for insider tips, market trends, and success strategies.
Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of our interview with Sarah Ayala, broker associate with Tower Agency in Riverside, California. Let's get to it. All right, so let's talk about the team building side. You actually, Brent, one of the things that Brent shared with me is you actually built the mentorship program for Tower Agency. So what was the vision behind that?
The vision was like a 2 a.m. wake up, like I need to do this. I had recently been talking to, but that's really what happened. I had recently been talking to a couple of newer agents, and they were telling me, you know, the state license test, great, awesome, glad I passed it, but didn't prepare me for anything real estate. And I was like, you know what, that's so true. You know, I kind of had to learn everything for myself, and really asking a ton of questions to great mentors like Brent Lee, Colette Lee, like such great foundation there. And I'm like, I have all this knowledge and I love teaching. I've always loved teaching. And so I started creating the mentorship program, and I started breaking it down week by week. And I'm like, what does an agent want to know the most, right? The number one thing they want to know is, well, how do I get business? You know, the first thing. I'm like, I think that would be my
How do I make money?
How do I make great? Glad I passed the test. What now? You know, kind of thing. So we start there, but it starts even further than that. It starts with goal setting, mindset. You know, what book should I be reading? How can I prepare myself for this journey we call sales, and time blocking? So we start week 1 there, and then we go into here's 20 great lead source generating activities you can do, including door knocking, cold calling. You know, we go back to the basics of basics, and then include really, you know, new stuff like social media, AI, you know, what can you be doing there? And then open houses, of course. And then from there, breaking down week by week, here's the buyer process from start to finish, to the time you get the phone call all the way to you hand your client the keys, and what care looks like after for that client relationship, to the seller process, and just breaking it down further from there. And it's been an 8-week program, and I love it so much. And we're still learning. It's baby, you know, we're learning how to like grow and adapt. I get feedback all the time and changing things, but it's definitely been a passion project. And I'm really proud of some of the things these mentees have been able to do. And they're not even mentees anymore. They teach me things that I'm, you know, that's the whole thing though, you know, teaching, and it's reciprocal.
So one of the things that Brent did tell me was that you hired more than 20 people last year. And so why do you think they chose you? Like, why did they say yes to you?
Oh, gosh, well, without bragging too much about myself, I would say that I think that I'm really vulnerable and honest. You know, I am the first to sit down with agents when they ask me or tell me they're having a hard transaction or having a hard quarter. Like, I opened this phone call saying I had a really bad first quarter. Like, I am extremely vulnerable. And I think that they appreciated that, but I'm also very open. I will tell you anything. You can sit down with me and I'll give you my entire social media plan. Like, I want to help everyone. And I really feel like that, that openness has created a lot of great friendships, connections, and created more people wanting to come to Tower and do the mentorship program. So I've been very blessed.
Well, one of the things that I walk a lot, and I listen to a lot of books, and one of the things that has stuck with me recently was there's no courage without vulnerability first.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
So now,
too vulnerable, honestly.
so now that you're in this role, you're 11 years in, how do you balance your own production with handling being a mentor?
Yeah, well, I want to give huge props to Brent Lee, because he's been probably, without being a mentor, you can't have a mentor and be a mentor, you know, so I have great mentors in my life, and he's one of them. And he's created such a great, he's phenomenal at helping me create balance. You know, I think he's the first, especially because I'm the first to raise my hand and be like, I'll do it. You know, he's the first to be like, okay, hold on. You know, we got a lot going on right now. What do you want to do? And giving me space and and guidance to take on, but also take off, and take time apart. He's such a great mentor in that way of helping me create balance. But yeah, it's been a little, I'm still learning. This has been a year of me having mentees and underneath me, getting frantic phone calls. This is stressful for them too, especially when deals start to fall apart or they've never experienced something before. And then my own production, it has been, that's probably been one of the biggest things I've had to learn this year, was the balance aspect. And I think the way that I've been able to do it, and I think everyone needs to do this, is they need to find something that grounds them. In nature, you like walking. Walking is huge for me too. I walk every morning, and when I feel overwhelmed, I walk, then too. But nature, walking, and time blocking has been huge. My Google Calendar, huge.
So what's the thing that you teach first? Is it lead generation? Is it a mindset? Is it systems? What do you guys talk about first?
Everything is mindset. Because as I said, sales is not for everyone. And I think that you can get very emotionally weak. I know I experienced that my first year. I mean, you can imagine not getting a paycheck for 6 months and then not getting one for another 6 months after that, or three to 6 months after that. Yeah, it was a very difficult time in my life. Glad I went through it, but it created a lot of, I'm very emotionally strong now. So I teach my mentees that, here's books, resources, and I'm a huge advocate and believer of the 5 a.m. club. The 5 a.m. club kind of changed my life, the book, and implementing that into my day to day. So I do wake around 4:30, 5:30 every morning, depending on my schedule, and I am a huge, huge believer in that. And I teach my mentees that first thing that they get started with me.
A really great book is Buy Back Your Time. I don't know if you've read that.
No, I haven't. Oh, I'll definitely read. I love reading.
Yeah. So check that one out.
Okay.
What those 20 people and just agents in general, what do they struggle with the most?
Yeah. And so funny we're talking about this. We just talked about mindset. I think it's the mindset aspect of it, time blocking too. But because sales are hard, I think a lot of people get really excited. They pass their test. They're like, okay, I'm ready to go to open houses and get a lead and close someone this weekend. And it doesn't work that way. And for some it might, but for me it definitely didn't. And so I think it's preparing them for what that looks like, how long it could potentially take to, obtain a lead and close a lead. But I think another thing that they're experiencing right now is a lot of buyer and seller emotions, especially right now. I have had more mentorship calls on managing emotions and expectations from our clients than ever before. And I think that also with balance, I do want to add, not taking on your client's emotions. I mean, maybe you can agree. It's really easy to take on their emotions and take it home with you. And I tell myself and I tell my mentees very often that this is your work. It's not your life. Sales can feel like this is your entire life. It is not. You still have a life after work and before work and even during. And creating that separation between the two is really big.
It's a little different with realtors. When I was in a different industry, I could go home and at 5 o'clock, I wasn't taking any more business calls.
Yep.
But you guys are, weekends, 10 o'clock at night, like people for some reason feel like they can call. And so, so it's a little tougher for you guys.
And they do. Setting boundaries with like, okay, we're X hour to X hour. I do, but it's rarely respected. But I understand it. I get it. Yeah.
And people just think, well, you guys are making, selling all these houses, making all this money. You guys should be available 24/7.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And I think there's a lot more transparency in how much, which I think it's great, how much real estate agents are making, and some people do feel like I'm paying you X amount to sell my property. I think accessibility would be huge. And I do agree with them.
To a certain level, but let's respect some boundaries.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's talk about the market. You just brought it up. So what's happening right now in the Inland Empire?
Oh man, if anyone told you they know exactly what's happening and this is what's going to happen, I think that I know they're lying, because each week has been different. I'll be honest. Last week we were experiencing multiple offers on properties, and every single one of my buyers and sellers, we were just going and going and going. And then this last weekend, dead. And I'm like, I had one person through my open house, and I'm putting an offer in on a property for one of my buyers, and they have no offers. And I'm like, last weekend, if they would have listed this property, they would have probably been competing against multiple. So we are seeing just a very strange emotional market. I'll be honest. I really haven't experienced anything like this in my 11 years, and I'm excited to keep growing with the business, but it's been rather interesting. I think headlines are important. Headlines are definitely dictating a lot of emotion, and also very funny, but I feel like seasonality is also playing a role. Like at spring break, RUSD spring break is this weekend. I think that has a huge influence on the market and what's going on, where before it really didn't as much. So we're experiencing, I would like to say, an emotional market. I think every buyer seller transaction has been extremely emotional, and that's what I'm seeing on that side. But other than that, it's very balanced. It can go either way, buyer or seller.
What's the data that you're sending out, the market updates? What is that telling you right now?
Yeah, so telling us same thing. Interest rates are up. We had like a 3-day window where they were down, lowest we had seen in 3 years. They're back up again. They're still on the lower side, lower than they had been side, but we're seeing them pretty high right now. And then
the problem is that people are just so used to this 3, 4, and 5s that now it's 6 and 7s are like losing their mind.
Exactly. And and we try to provide enough historical data to be like, this is actually a very normal interest rate. So sorry about what happened before. Probably won't see that again. And there are some buyers, sellers, everyone hanging out to get interest rates back into that range, and I just,
that was going to be my next question. What are you going to, what are you going to say? What would you say to somebody right now sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect opportunity?
Yeah, I don't think there is a perfect opportunity. I don't think there really is. I never think that there is. I think maybe 2021 was a perfect opportunity. 2020 was a perfect opportunity. But I really don't think that there is ever one. I think that, and two, I think this also goes back to the emotional market, why I believe it's an emotional market. Almost every single one of my clients who are moving, it's all emotion based. I need to be closer to grandkids. I need to be closer to the school district. We need a bigger house. None of it is financial. None of it's like, I love the interest rate right now, so let's do this. I haven't seen that. So I really think that it has to make sense for whoever selling or buying. I think you need to be very, very educated with what your budget is, what your numbers look like, what your interest rate, what your comfortability is. And that's who, if you are sitting on the sidelines waiting for any time, any perfect scenario, maybe look at what the scenario looks like now so you can game plan. If interest rates reach a 4% or whatever it might be that you're waiting for, know exactly what that looks like, because I'm telling you, I think if we were looking for a perfect opportunity and interest rates did hit 4%, I can't even imagine the flood of buyers and inventory we'd probably see enter our market. So
we come from come from the investor side, and it's Bruce Norris who has put together these market timing reports for a very long time. It's 30 years now. We just did one in 2026, and for those interest rates to go back down, like what people don't understand is like a lot of bad things have to happen in the economy. Like, so, all right, we might get back down to 3% interest rates, but that means like unemployment's huge and like nobody can afford a house.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for, right? Yeah.
And it's funny that you say that motion. We've actually have a tool called the moodometer, because we gauge the mood of the buyer and the seller, and that's kind of where we're at. So it's interesting that you say that. So where's the opportunity in the Inland Empire right now for investors and buyers and sellers?
Yeah, honestly, I'll tell you, first-time home buyer range. It's so funny that those houses fly off the market. Anything first-time home buyer is such a great, one, price range, but two, like your monthly payment's great. And then also, it's funny enough, we like skip a little bit, and then everything luxury is great too. It's like this or this, no in between.
Yeah, we've seen that in Florida too, because we build in South Florida also.
Isn't it so interesting?
Yeah, it's that middle market that's just getting hammered.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to do a quick rapid fire as we start wrapping this up. So give me your 3 tips for new agents.
Okay, 3 tips for new agents. One, find a really good mentor, find a really good office, be excited, start there. I have started my career at Tower, probably never leaving. And I think that's so important who you surround yourself with. So, one. Two, get on social media and post consistently enough. And I would recommend posting consistently for 30 days, then looking at your analytics and seeing who you're talking to and who's engaging with you. If it's, 70% women and the age group is 18 to 25, is that who you want to be selling to, and then see if you need to change your messaging. And
Can they buy anything?
Yeah, exactly. Is 18-year-old realistically gonna purchase whatever those conversations might be, and then switch it up if you don't like the way that looks. And third, I would say just put your blinders on. I think it's very, very easy to look at at people online, especially like this agent just got their license and they've sold like $3 million home or whatever it might be. You have to be so blinded to all of that and just focus on what you're doing. And also, if you do find something that brings you success, double down on it. When I started my career, I was door knocking, open houses, cold calling. I wasn't doing anything well because I was doing too much of everything. And then when I started just focusing on social media is when I really saw the business come. So find your thing and don't stop doing it.
Okay. What's the best lead source?
For me right now, Instagram, social media.
What is the biggest social media mistake?
I would say posting too many infographics would be a big mistake, but also budget too. I think I see a lot of agents feeling like they need to hire a professional videographer to do all these professional videos for them. We have such a great resource in our hands, our iPhones. This is basically movie quality video, and and you don't have to pay for all that. I would say that is one of the largest mistakes I'm seeing on social media right now is hiring professional videographer. I never have. I don't pay for ads, anything. Haven't spent $1. It's all me. But yeah, that's
especially early when you're not making money, right?
Yeah, don't do it.
All right. So here's one of my last questions.
Yeah.
What would you do differently right now if you were starting over again, knowing everything that you know right now?
Yeah, I'd definitely be that thing. I wouldn't pour 10% into all these buckets of lead source and generation. I would focus on open houses and social media and just do those two things really well. And I would just double down on them. I spent a lot of time doing a lot of different things, trying to find what was best for me. I think it's great for my mentees now, so I can share them all the ups and downs. But man, I really had to learn my lessons. And I think another one is comparing. I really compared myself to other agents and what their success level was. And I'm so happy I never gave up and I just kept going. And I wish I would have spent more time doing that and less comparison.
Let me. I want to get into maybe a bonus little section, okay? Because I know that in the past you have, and I know Tower, just as an office, does get involved in the community. So how important do you think that is, and how much do you instill that into your new mentees that they need to get involved in the community?
Yeah, it's huge. We spent a whole week almost talking about it. It's called Who Are Your People, right? So you figure out who your ideal client is. And a lot of time it's who you are. And then we do this exercise where it's basically a mirror of themselves, right? Like my ideal client has a huge heart for animals. Like they love Marius Roberts. They want to donate their time. They want to advocate for dogs and cats in our area. And I've gotten business that way from, just being a part of the community and being a part of Marius Roberts or posting about animals. So it's huge, not only for connection for business, but for your heart and soul. And we've really, it's a huge thing that I want my mentees to connect with is find something you're passionate about, pour yourself into that, because there's nothing like the reciprocal, when you reciprocate that energy of giving and receiving. And you also meet really great people business-wise, potentially. So yeah, it's really huge. And Brent's been a huge advocate for obviously a community, and he's instilled that in me also. So absolutely. At one point in time when I was when I first was licensed and had a lot of time on my hands because I wasn't selling anything, I sat on 7 boards around our city. And I donated a lot of my time. And
time, talent, and treasure.
Yeah. I don't recommend that for agents, but I do recommend finding a couple they're excited about it, pouring into them.
Yes, yes. And then my final bonus question is, what has it meant to you to be able to work with your family?
Oh, everything. Yeah. I love my family. I think everyone is,
Because
asking.
just so they know that you work with your sister and your mom, right?
I do. I work with my sister and my mom, and they are phenomenal. They honestly keep the boat afloat. We all have very different strengths. All of us do. Like I tell everyone, you'll never see my mom. She's a huge introvert. She is all on the backside. She's taking care of everything contractually, and she loves it. Like she loves that, and she would hate to do this. This would be her worst nightmare. I love it. And my sister, she executes every crazy idea I have, and she's been phenomenal. So it really means everything. People ask me, how do you work with your family? And I say, it's so easy. We just found we're different enough that it works really well. So it's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So how do people connect with you?
Yeah, social media or my phone number.
No, I'm saying, here's your opportunity. Tell us what it is.
Okay. How do people connect? Okay. So
Yes.
like, is this something like call to action? Or you saying like
Like,
am I
if
pitching
you, I don't know how much, like, if you want to, you can give out your phone number, email, your
Okay, cool.
handle, whatever you want.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So you can find me on social media. I am Sarah S. Ayala, Instagram primarily. So you can find everything there. I post a lot about my dog and life and cool stuff. But my phone number, it's very accessible. My phone number is 951-743-4463. So if you have questions about the market or you're an agent or whatever you need, please let me know. I'd love to help.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us and sharing, some of the success and not being afraid to, having that abundance mentality and not, gatekeeping any of this stuff. There, we live in a big, big world, and there's definitely plenty for all of us as long as you're willing to work for it and go after it. Right. So
I agree.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
For more information on hard money loans, trust deed investing, and upcoming events with the Norris Group, check out thenorrisgroup.com. For more information on passive investing through the DBL Capital Real Estate Investment Fund, please visit dblcapital.com.
The Norris Group originates and services loans in California and Florida under the California DRE license 01219911, Florida Mortgage Lender license 1577, and NMLS license 1623669. For more information on hard money lending, go to thenorrisgroup.com and click the hard money tab.